Video, and we have the relevant security agencies.
We need to rejig our security system so that we can...
All right, gentlemen, let's move on quickly. Still about security. For the people of Benue State, north-central Nigeria, the same sad story of killing persists. The state witnessed a mayhem recently following a clash between militia groups, which left about 30 persons dead. The clash occurred when one of the gang leaders hired the services of external bandits to invade Bagir community in Ukum local government area and began a fight to oust another militia gang leader in the state. Adekunle, let me start with you. Ukum is one of the 3 local government areas that make up the Sankara axis, where criminality holds sway now. How do you react to this recent development?
I thought we are beginning to have some respite from that part of the state. But when you look at the news repeatedly now for some months, you will see a lot of, people getting killed, almost every time. And I'm beginning to wonder that it means nothing has
And according to the governor, there is heavy security presence there.
But what's the value of heavy security when people are still being killed? And I was looking at a report that said in just 7 years, in about 8 years now, we've had about 6,000 people killed in Benue State alone. Please, that's not acceptable. What is the issue? When the former governor Ukum was there, he was always, at ease, to blame the president, always putting the blame on the then President Buhari, always attacking the president, and putting the blame of himself. And all. Now another person is in charge. I felt maybe we are doing a bit better in the security there, but every time you see problem with Fulani, you see problem with Herdsmen, you see problem with other militia people. What is actually the problem? Is it land grabbing? Is it other farmer thing?
I think it's a combination of all of these factors.
What is the purpose of governance in that aspect? That space is as a governor, senators, as a rep, look at and all of that. Why have we not had peace in Benue? Why are people still being killed? It's sad. People are becoming, look at the way people are becoming, IDP, people are being displaced all over that state. And every week, the figures are very scary. And I said, what is really happening? We have a Reverend Father now as the governor. And he talked unlike the former governor that is always...
I think he has started talking now.
So I am confused, honestly.
Adeoye, these killings didn't start today.
Yeah.
But when you listen to Governor Alia say that this last attack was unprovoked, do you think at this point the governor seemed very overwhelmed? And according to what Adekunle just said, is the governor doing enough?
Well, I think what we are seeing now is a very complex problem, but it shouldn't be a problem we should not be able to resolve. Because Benue has a population of about 6 million people. It's one of the biggest states in Nigeria. And because of its location, crises in that area usually spread to other Nasarawa, Kaduna, and all those areas. I know for now, Benue State alone has about 2.1 million people that are internally displaced. So that's a huge percentage when you look at the population of just 2.1 million. 6 million people. And there are about several IDPs, I think about 17 IDPs in Benue State. The condition is so bad that some of them, I think recently gave birth to about 200 babies right in IDP camps. So you can imagine what people are going through. They can't go back to their ancestral home. They have been displaced. They have been, destroyed and traumatized. And, And what I noticed is that there are 23 local governments in Benue State. At least about more than 80% of those local governments are affected by one crisis or the other. But the most affected areas are largely the TV, communities, which are known for, of course, the Idoma people also suffer the similar plight, which are known for agriculture. Benue State, I think, is the third largest producer of rice, soya beans, sweet potatoes. It's an agricultural zone. And that's why if crisis continues in Benue, it's really going to affect, agro business all over the country. So I'm worried that it has become a persistent problem, that the former governor could not resolve the problem. The federal government became so hostile to the then government because it was in PDP. I said, okay, because of opposition. But now things have changed. But unfortunately, the crisis is even getting more out of hand. So for me, I think one thing we should underline is that the fomenters of this trouble, they are not indigenous to Benue. Yes.
I think so.
They are not. They are mainly people from outside who want to come to Benue State over grazing rights, which the state government is saying, look, we cannot afford to throw our land open for people to just come and graze for security reasons and for reasons of climate and environment. There were people that are also scrambling for land that is not their own, that they want to take it over by force. And we also have people who just think that, look, Benue State needs to be captured so that they can use it as a foothold in order to launch attack in other parts of the Middle Belt. So, and don't also forget that the TVs, they have an historical culture of resistance against the jihad. That has been there for over 200 years. So nobody could ever overrun them. Yeah. So we are seeing that same spirit of resistance, saying that, look, you can't take over our land. So I think resolving this problem demands, a lot of approaches. But the most important thing is that we must give priority to the owners of the land. We must give priority to the indigenous people that own this land, that land was given to them by God. And we must also recognize the right of these people, even though we recognize the right of people to move around and all that. But the owners of that land must not be displaced because they have no other place to go. If you are from Chad, from Mali, you have a second home. But these people, this is the only land they are emotionally attached to it, psychologically attached to it, spiritually attached to their land.
I hear you, Adeoye, but what makes a particular community prone to attacks despite heavy security presence there? Because that's one thing that is very surprising to the governor.
The farmers want to grow their soya beans, their cassava, their mangoes, their oranges. The herdsmen are insisting of also being in control of the same land. So there is going to be, competition for limited land resources between those who own the land and those who think that, look, we also have some form of right to graze our cattle on your land. So that is the conflict. But unfortunately, this thing started as a minor burden problem. But we are not decisive, to resolve the problem. So it has assumed a life of its own, even taking the dimension of armed race. Because when communities are being killed and there's no attempt to resolve the conflict, you know that you have lost 10 people in your family. You want to revenge. So what we're seeing now is revenge attack, which can, snowball into greater crisis that might affect the entire Middle Belt. So I think when we are blaming the governor, we must also realize the limitations of his powers.
Absolutely.
He has no control over the police. He has no control over the army. Even the rangers he has set up, they are not allowed to be armed. With the appropriate weapons. Even
when you look at what the governor is saying about heavy security presence, the land mass is massive.
Yeah.
How many security people are there? Nigeria is not a small country that if put all the security agents out, what can they do? So we need to do a lot in securing peace to make sure that things are not getting out of hand. It puts a lot of pressure on the way we run our affairs. We put a lot of pressure on our security agents, and we don't seem to understand it. Little issues, we use soldiers, for purposes that are not.
The state governor is talking about launching a 10,000 man security outfit to complement the efforts of other security agencies to tackle insecurity in the states. This is me buttressing your point about different approaches to tackle this.
Which is good, but the other issues, the underlying issues must be tackled, and there must be the political will to do it. Many of the times we treat the symptoms without going, to attack the ailment.
All right, gentlemen, let's move on quickly. Following the twist introduced to the hardship protest when some protesters were seen waving the flag of Russia and calling for a military intervention in Nigeria, the federal government is taking drastic measures against the sponsors. In view of this, the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, and heads of security agencies have directed the Nigerian Immigration Services to arrest sponsors of the #EndBadGovernance protest placed on watch list. Speaking during a combined news conference by heads of security agencies and service chiefs, convened by the Chief of Defense Staff in Abuja, the Controller General of Immigration, Kemi Nabdab, confirmed that the agency has identified some diaspora sponsors on the watch list. The immigration boss said they would be arrested if they stepped on Nigerian soil. Adewe, let me start with you. This is a recent development, and for others, this is good. What's your take on this, now that all the security agencies are in agreement on this particular update?
Yeah, I watched the video where the defense chiefs came together